If you ever visit Castringham Hall in Suffolk, you will find it almost exactly as it was hundreds of years ago. The grand old house still stands, the gardens are still beautiful, the lake still shimmers in the light, but there is one thing missing, one thing that is no longer there, and for good reason. The ash tree is gone. It once stood tall and proud, right in front of the house. Its long, dark branches stretched so far that they almost touched the walls. But the story of why it was cut down is not a pleasant one. Our story begins in the year 1690. There was a woman in the village, strange, lonely, old. Her name was Mrs. Mothersole, and the people around her believed with complete certainty that she was a witch. The owner of Castringham Hall at the time was a man named Sir Matthew Fell. He was the one who first noticed her strange behavior. He described how every single time there was a full moon, Mrs. Mothersole would creep out into the night and climb into the ash tree that grew just outside his bedroom window. She always carried a knife, a strange, unusual knife. With it, she would cut pieces from the tree, its branches, its bark, muttering quietly to herself the entire time, words that no one could quite hear, words that no one could quite understand. One night, Sir Matthew decided to follow her home, but somehow she vanished. One moment she was there, the next she was simply gone. When he knocked on her door, she came downstairs, looking sleepy and confused, dressed in her nightclothes, as if she had been in bed the whole time. Sir Matthew told the villagers what he had seen. They had their own stories about Mrs. Mothersole. Together, they came to a decision. There was only one explanation for what she was doing. It had to be witchcraft. And so, she was put on trial. And she was found guilty. She was sentenced to hang. On the day of her execution, Mrs. Mothersole did not go quietly. She struggled. She screamed. She fought until the very end. And just before she died, she spoke her final words, words that sent a chill through everyone who heard them. There will be guests at the hall. Nobody understood what she meant. Not yet. After the hanging, Sir Matthew found that he could not feel at peace. A heavy guilt settled over him. That evening, he walked through the gardens of Castringham Hall with his close friend, the local vicar. He spoke about his worries, about whether he had done the right thing. The vicar placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing, Sir Matthew. I am certain she was a dangerous woman." Those words helped. Sir Matthew felt a little lighter. It was a full moon that night. The gardens were bathed in cold silver light. As the two men made their way back toward the house, Sir Matthew suddenly stopped. He stared at the ash tree, and his face went pale. "What kind of animal is that running down the ash tree? Do you see it? It looks very strange." The vicar turned and caught only a brief glimpse of the creature moving down the trunk, but in that short moment, something unsettled him deeply. It seemed to have more than 4 legs. He shook his head slowly. He told himself he was tired. After all, what animal in the world has more than 4 legs? He said nothing to Sir Matthew. He simply wished him good night. The next morning, Sir Matthew did not come downstairs at his usual time of 6 o'clock. His servants waited. 7 o'clock passed, then 8. A cold, creeping dread began to fill the house. They went upstairs. They knocked on his bedroom door. No answer. They knocked again and again. Still nothing. Finally, they broke the door down. What they found inside would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Sir Matthew lay on his bed. He was dead, and his entire body had turned completely black. There were no wounds, no marks, no signs of any struggle. The room looked perfectly normal in every way, except for one thing. The window was wide open. The servants suspected poison. A doctor was called immediately, but the doctor found no trace of poison whatsoever. He had no explanation, none at all. Sir Matthew Fell was dead, and no one could say why. When the vicar heard the news, he rushed straight to Castringham Hall. While he waited for the doctor's verdict, he found himself standing by the dead man's bedside. Sir Matthew's old Bible was lying on the table nearby. The vicar picked it up and opened it at random. The first words his eyes fell upon were from the book of Luke, chapter 8. Cut it down. That same day, Sir Matthew's bedroom was locked. It would remain locked for the next 40 years. Time passed. A new generation came to Castringham Hall. Sir Matthew's grandson, Sir Richard Fell, was now the master of the estate. He was a man who enjoyed spending money on renovations, on improvements, on making the hall grander than ever. He also decided to expand the local church so his family could have a fine new pew to make room for the new building. Some of the graves in the churchyard had to be moved. One of those graves belonged to Mrs. Mother Soul. The villagers gathered to watch as the grave was opened. There was excitement in the air, curiosity, perhaps even a little fear. But when the workers dug down and opened the grave, every single person fell silent. The grave was completely empty. No body, no bones, not even dust. Around the same time, Sir Richard began to sleep very badly. The wind made the smoke curl back down his chimney. The curtains shifted and rustled in the dark. His room faced east, so the early morning sun woke him long before he was ready. One morning, he asked his servant James to help him find a better room. Together they toured the house, but every room had some problem. Too cold, too noisy, facing the wrong direction. Then they found themselves standing outside a door that had not been opened in 40 years. Sir Matthew's old room. James spoke carefully. "It's a bad room, sir. They say terrible things happened in there. No one has opened it since the death of your grandfather. And the ash tree, it's right outside the window. That tree has always been unlucky." Sir Richard was not listening. He unlocked the door and walked straight in. "You see, James, nothing unusual at all." But as he looked out at the ash tree, something made him pause. It was tall, far taller than he remembered. Dark, its long branches were reaching toward the open window, like slow, searching fingers. He said nothing. He closed the window. At that moment, the front doorbell rang. A stranger had arrived at Castringham Hall. The servant brought him upstairs to where Sir Richard was standing, surrounded by old paintings and dusty books. The stranger introduced himself politely. "My name is William Crome. My grandfather was the vicar here during your grandfather's time. I have some old papers to deliver to you." Sir Richard welcomed him warmly. He ordered wine to be brought to the library and told James to move all his belongings into the old bedroom. "I will sleep here from now on," he said simply. In the library, Sir Richard looked through the papers William Crome had brought. Many of them had belonged to his grandfather. Among them, he found something remarkable: notes written by the old vicar about the morning of Sir Matthew's mysterious death. Sir Richard read them slowly, then he gave a quiet laugh. "How very interesting," he murmured. It seems that my grandfather's Bible gave him a piece of advice on the very day he died, and your grandfather believed it was about the ash tree. Cut it down. Those were the first words he read when he opened the Bible that morning. William Crome leaned forward. Do you still have that Bible? I would very much like to see it. Sir Richard found it easily. He blew the dust from the cover and set it on the table between them. Let's see what it has to say to me, he said, smiling. I'll open it at any page, just as your grandfather